Hey everyone, Type 1 Dragon here, and it's been a very long time. I know most of you are probably here wondering what's going on with Skyrim and some other channel updates, so go ahead and skip to this time code that's on the screen now. If you just want the bulk of the video, which is going to be about Skyrim, my plans going forward in the new year with the channel. But if you want to know how I have been doing, continue listening. So, as of today, December 12th, 2024, it has officially been 10 months since my last video, almost an entire year, back in February, and it was my one finger death punch, how stick figures shaped a childhood, which I will admit was a video that was stretching at straws, but it was one that I wanted to tell. But after that video, a lot happened. I started a new job. Now I'm working a full-time 8 to 5 Monday to Friday, and I like it. It's very good for me. I'm earning a good amount of pay, and it's helping to support my growing family, which about 2 months later, May 18th, I got married to my girlfriend and the love of my life, who is currently in bed asleep because she's not feeling well. So I'm trying to be as quiet as I can while recording this, so that way she can sleep. Then after we got married, we went on our honeymoon down to Orange Beach, Alabama. And if you're looking for a nice, not populated beach, I highly recommend the place, especially the Gulf. It's a restaurant right on the beach. Great food, absolutely great food. I had BLT snapper, amazing. But I'm rambling. After we got back, I just wanted to settle into being both a married man and into my job. And I will admit, the channel, it was in the back of my head. It was always there, but it wasn't forefront, if you get what I'm saying. And then as months went by, I just got more focused on my job, getting used to being married, living on my own with my wife, and I kind of just started forgetting the channel. And then a few weeks back, my grandfather passed away. He had been fighting complications with a stroke earlier this year, and I don't exactly know what the cause of death was, but he wasn't my grandfather by blood. My nana, my dad's mom, after my dad's dad passed away, my biological grandfather, back in 92, she moved up to Ohio, and then that's where she met my grandfather, my step-grandfather. But he was the only grandfather I knew outside my mom's dad. Passed away 10 years ago. Not to the day, but it's kind of funny looking back on that. But for all intents and purposes, he was my grandfather. I'm still grieving. I won't lie, I'm still very much grieving his death. During that grieving, I started playing Skyrim again. It was always a game that gave me some comfort and helped me process a lot of stuff. And that's where I saw the save file for Eric, and I knew that I left something unfinished. The last thing I want in this life is to leave something unfinished. To go out knowing that I did everything that I could, and I did it right, just like my grandfather. And so that's how my life has been for the past 10 months. I've got married, moved into my wife's house, got used to my new job, liking it a lot, and processing the loss of a family member. I won't say that I'm 100% over. You can never really get over the death of someone that close. But I do believe that the good Lord gives you peace, especially knowing where they went depending on your beliefs. And I will say I am a staunch Christian. I'm Free Will Baptist, and I know where he went, and knowing that gives me some peace. The computer that I even have, it was given to me by him, and making these videos in some way keeps them close. Playing my games and talking to my friends online in a way keeps them close to me, if that makes any lick of sense. But enough with the downing of a loss of life. You probably clicked on this video mostly for Skyrim, roleplays, Eric, and what I tend to do going to the new year. Let me start by prefacing 3 things. 1, I am doing a restart of Eric's story. 2, I no longer have the curtain mod list that I made at the very beginning of the series. 3, I will be using a mod list by Biggie Boss, known as LoreRim, going forward. So let's break each of those points down. Eric's story. What do I mean by a reset? Well, the reset comes with its own 3 points. the 2 points which are tied together. When I last uploaded Eric, which was back in November of last year, Bethesda, in all their wisdom, decided to update Skyrim. They updated at that point, 12-year-old game, so they can, and if I remember correctly, move the mods section that you can download mods directly from the game itself without having to go to Nexus or another third-party site. They moved the mods section and their creation club section and put them together under the creation umbrella. That is it. That was the update, and some minor bug patches, I guess. But that was the update, and they did the same to Fallout, and you've probably seen the backlash from the Fallout community. Holy moly, that was a dumpster fire. So that is one reason. The second reason is coupled with the first. Since Bethesda, in their grand wisdom, decided to update Skyrim, again, an 11-year-old game at that point, 11, 12-year-olds, it don't matter, Skyrim is old. But they decided that since they updated the game, that means SKSE was broken probably for a month or two. All the mods were broken because some relied on SKSE, so they need update, and mods that relied on SKSE needed updating. It just threw everything for a loop. And at the time, that would have been fine by me. But now comes the third reason. I really didn't like where the story was going. This is where the meat of it. So when I first started recording for YouTube, and when I first started recording Eric's journey, keep in mind, my very first video was a prelude to Eric's story. I wanted to tell a story about a Nord warrior coming home to Skyrim and being embroiled in the conflict and unable to decide which way he was going, using the experiences that he had from being outside of Tamriel while holding true to his own personal beliefs and his gods, that being the Nordic pantheon. And at the time of that very first video, I probably only had about 3 to 5 paragraphs of backstory for Eric. That is it. 3 to 5 paragraphs of backstory. Now, if I was doing my own personal playthrough, that would have been no problem. I could have just done all the role playing in my head, and that would have been that. But I wanted to tell a story, and this is something that I've always wanted to do, was tell a story that others could enjoy and gain value from. And going into the series, starring YouTube with just 5 paragraphs of backstory, looking back, that was a very dangerous and destructive road. Sure enough, over the course of the playthrough, I started to get less and less interest, and I hated that, because I was enjoying Eric as a character. As I developed him in the background, and as I did my Skyrim character stories, kind of furthering his background, I grew to love a character, and I abandoned him, essentially. I abandoned Eric after Blackreach, after the mods update, after everything, because of 3 reasons in and of itself. 1, I wanted Eric's story to be more of a slow burn story. Before going through the main quest, I wanted him to either complete the companion's quest line, get to level 15 in a decent way through the companion's quest line, then complete the main story after completing the companion's questline, curing himself, Vilkis, and Farkas of the wolf blood. You can't cure Aella, and I probably would marry Aella in the playthrough, but that's another tangent. Then, after curing himself of the wolf blood, he would have come to the realization that he had been doing himself injustice. He had been doing his gods injustice by following one of the testing gods, Hyosin. And so as a way to redeem himself in the eyes of Kain, Shor, and even Talos, he would have gone through the main quest fully as a redemption arc. That's what the main quest should have been for him. Rekindle his purpose as the Dragonborn. But, as you all saw, episode 38, we were in Blackreach. And I did not like that pacing at all. It was not how I originally envisioned. Another reason is, well, the mods that I had myself. I installed, when I first created the mod list, I installed some weather overhaul, some texture overhauls, some armor, weapons, a lot of patches and ways to tweak the already base quests to be a little bit more longer. Like at your own pace companions, you had to complete several of the miscellaneous quests, radiant quests that they give you, before you can move on with the main quests of the companions, which feeds back into that want of a slow burn playthrough. But that didn't happen. One of the quests got bugged and I just left it out. I just never touched it again, even though I could have gone back to Ayla, canceled the quest, and picked up another one. That was a solution that I never did, because at that point, Eric's direction was going towards the main quest. And that is somewhat due to the nature of Skyrim's vanilla start. It pushes you down the main quest line. You can't ignore it, but it pushes you down towards the main quest line. And that's where Alternate Start, Living Our Life, a mod that I installed, became useless, because it's meant to help you curtail the role playing a bit more, so that way you can do a slow burn to the main quest. And it just sat in my load order doing nothing except allowing me to customize my character before the start of the game. That's it. And then there were mods that I installed and never really contributed to the roleplay. Shadows of Skyrim never impacted the gameplay. Wildcat, sure, it made some things a little difficult, but it didn't really change the combat of Skyrim itself. Vila is a big offender because I installed her way too late as a way to have another follower and a potential love interest for Eric, but as I ventured with her, that was a mistake. I will 100% say installing Vila was a mistake, because we had a dynamic with Eric, Lucian, and Inigo, and it was a good dynamic. I loved their dynamic, and I ruined it with Vila. Not to say that Vila isn't a good mod, it is an excellent mod, but the way she works, a lot of her story involves her previous incarnation of the mod for Oblivion, because in Oblivion, Vila is a mod that you can install and you go through Oblivion together. There's an option with the Skyrim incarnation where you remember your time together in Oblivion, which means, via lore, the player character in Skyrim is technically an avatar of Sheogorath, because in the Shivering Isle DLC, if you haven't played it, spoiler warning for a older game, I guess, but in the Shivering Isle DLC, at the end, your player character, the hero Kvatch, mantles Sheogorath and becomes him, all in an attempt to separate Sheogorath's being from Jiggalag, so that way the two Daedric princes would be separated into their own two beings again. Because, brief lore thing, there was once a Daedric prince known as Jiggalag, who was the Daedric prince of order and stasis, I believe. Definitely order, and he was the most powerful Daedric being, and because of his power and his want to kind of bring order to the chaos of Oblivion, all the other Daedric princes united together to bring him down a peg and transform him into his complete opposite, a Daedric being of madness, Sheogorath. But once I believe every 1,000 years, or once during the turning of an era, I'll have to look into it, Sheogorath would transform back into Jiggalag, and then Jiggalag will wreak havoc through the Shivering Isles, creating it into a place of order before being allowed to go into the rest of Oblivion. But because of the brief period of time Jiggalag is allowed back, after he's done tearing through the Shivering Isles, bringing order, he reverts back into Sheogorath, and then Sheogorath makes the Shivering Isles what it should be again. And Sheogorath, knowing this is going to happen, beseeches the player to mantle him, to do things that will allow him to become himself, thus separating his being and Jiggalag's being. And so, by that logic, if you decide to remember your time together with Vila in Cyrodiil, that means the Dragonborn is an avatar, or the reincarnation of Sheogorath / hero of Kvatch. And with what I had planned for Eric, him being a Shiznarine, that was not going to work out. And so Vila, a lot of her quests, her follower functions became useless. And of course, with her being an older mod, she did not interact with Lucian and Inigo, which kind of broke my immersion. And then, reason number 2, I deleted the mod list. When I started playing Skyrim again a few weeks ago, I didn't have time to curtail a fine-tooth mod list. So I wiped it clean from my load order and wanted to pivot towards a one-click install mod list from Wabbajack. And after looking through several mod lists, I found one that I really enjoy, and that is LoreRim by Biggie Boss, which, paraphrasing from the mod list on Wabbajack, is what Skyrim is supposed to be in 2024. And after playing through the early stages of LoreRim, which is a Requiem-based mod list, and some other mod lists such as Wildlander, Gates of Sovngarde, and Nordic Souls, I love LoreRim. And it's about to reach its 3.0 update on Christmas. So if you want more details on LoreRim, go and join Biggie's Discord. Just go. It is a great mod list. I highly recommend it. And it's lore-based. It has everything that I was hoping to achieve with my mod list, making Skyrim feel like a new game, overhauling the combat, overhauling the visuals, overhauling the NPC animations, adding new quests, curtailing existing quests so they feel more long pace, bringing Skyrim's pacing down a notch. And so that is why I have made the decision to overhaul Eric's story, from his background, from certain interactions, just re-overhauling Eric's story. That's not to say he's going to be a completely different person. Part of his personalities will change, but he's still going to be the same charismatic, sarcastic, and fun-loving Nord that a lot of you have come to enjoy. And that brings me to a very important question that I have for you all. With me overhauling Eric's backstory, completely rewriting it to be more consistent, more in depth, which will allow me to better tell his story. I will start over, starting the story at episode 1 again. I will be leaving the original story up on YouTube, so that way those that enjoyed it can still watch it and enjoy every aspect of the old Eric. And if you want, in the comments of this video, please leave a satisfactory end with how you think that Eric's story would have been. Because that Eric, I wanted his story to originally end with completing the Civil War questline, choosing one side or the other, so that way he can achieve the goal that he set out for, bringing peace to his homeland by stabilizing the region, completing Civil War questline. My problem with that Eric is, at one point, he would lean more towards the Imperials. Another point, he would lean more towards the Stormcloaks. He was the definitive neutral Nord. And of course, in Skyrim, the only quest that allows you to bring a temporary peace to the fighting is in the main quest, where you go to High Hrothgar, discuss how to achieve a temporary truce by trading territory between Stormcloaks and the Imperials, and then you go off to Whiterun, capture Odahviing, go to Skuldolphin, fight through all of that, enter Sovngarde, and defeating Alduin, which the moment Alduin is defeated, in lore, in the actual game, the fighting is supposed to resume. And I don't know where that Eric would side with. But this new Eric, I already have in mind where he's going to side. There are things that you all can help me with. And the reason that you all can help me is through a very simple concept in the Elder Scrolls known as the Copa. Where, if you don't know what Copa is, think of a Copa as a restart of the timeline, where once Alduin comes and eats the world through some machination of cosmic forces, the world is reborn and a new timeline begins. That is a Copa. Alduin eats the world, bringing it into it, so that way a new world can begin and a new timeline can begin, where events play out similarly to how they did previously, but with some changes. Some people may act how they used to act, others may have slight personality differences, different experiences, and that would apply to Eric. This new roleplay of his, this new series that I'm hoping to start, would be a new Copa, essentially, where much of his personality is the same. He is still the same Eric, but certain aspects of his backstory changed, such as where he was born and lived. I will be releasing a poll within the coming days asking you where you want this new Eric to live, either Whiterun or Windhelm, and I will be giving pros and cons to each decision. And I will be releasing several polls throughout the coming weeks to ask questions such as, would this new Eric be a sword and shield wielder or two-hander? Would he use alchemy instead of restoration magic? And I'll be giving reasons as to why. But I will go ahead and say the biggest change to this new Eric would be his motivation to keep moving forward. Sure, he does want to bring peace to Skyrim, but he's not doing it in the memory of his mother or his father. He's doing it in the memory of the woman that he loved. And that is essentially all that I have. My life has had a lot of ups and downs during this year, but I feel good. I'm in a very good place, and it's good to be back recording. Eric's story and his iteration that I left it is essentially over. It is done. The last bit was in Blackreach, and you are free to come up with your own satisfactory end. And lastly, the roleplay is coming back. Eric's story is starting over, starting fresh, and it's going to be a lot more slower pace, a lot more in-depth, because I'm taking my time to actually give this character justice by writing a backstory and trickling in details throughout Eric's new roleplay. Inigo will return because he is in LoreRim. Lucian may come 3.0, and you'll be seeing a lot of new fresh faces. Like I said, if you are interested in the mod list I'm going to be using, which is LoreRim, go to Biggie Boss's channel, just search it up on YouTube, go to Biggie Boss's Discord, the Modding Bungalow, and look up for yourself. It is a fantastic mod list that is curated to bring a lot of fundamental stuff from the Elder Scrolls games into Skyrim, while overhauling the combat and de-leveling the world through Requiem and several other mods. It is over 4,000 mods. It's a big list, and I love it. When can you all expect a return of the roleplays? Well, that is going to be a while. I'm looking it's not going to be 2024. It's probably going to be towards the middle of January, but most likely sometime in February. And that is due to the fact that every other weekend, my wife works. She works Saturday and Sunday every other weekend. So that will be the prime time that I'll be able to record. And the background, you are seeing some LoreRim gameplay, and you may notice that it's stuttery. A lot of things are kind of hovering, and that is because I'm only currently able to play LoreRim on the performance mode, and my graphics card, it is chugging. Sure, I'm getting a stable 60 FPS if you look on the screen, but there are times where it stutters, there are times where it dips below 40, and the performance mode has its flaws. And with LoreRim about to release its 3.0, it is supposed to be a lot more stable come 3.0, and come Christmas I'm actually getting a new graphics card. And where I'm still experimenting with LoreRim myself, I don't feel comfortable starting the roleplay this year, where I'm about to switch my hardware a bit. I'm going to see if I can run on normal mode for LoreRim, but that doesn't mean I'm going to leave you off. I'm not going to just leave you hanging until February or so. Every other weekend, where my wife works, I will be streaming LoreRim. I'll be streaming Skyrim, and just wanting to hang out with you. So you're still going to get content from me. It's just going to be in form of LoreRim streams for Skyrim. And there's one more thing that I want to touch before I go. The nature of the channel. This channel has always been about telling stories through the games that I love. Hence why you would see things such as One Finger Death Punch, Bannerlord, Baldur's Gate 3. But if I really want to grow this channel, which I do want to grow this channel, I need to really focus in on something first. And I won't lie, the Elder Scrolls live rent-free in my head. I love this series. I love the lore. I love everything about it. That means I'm going to have to rebrand a bit. I'm still going to be telling stories through the games that I love. You're still going to get the role plays, but you're also going to get more Elder Scrolls content. You're going to see some lore discussion videos. I have some topics that I really do want to go in depth on. I really do want to play Oblivion for the channel. I started it, but I didn't finish it, so I really do want to get back to Oblivion and do a proper playthrough again. I want to touch Morrowind for the channel. I want to do Daggerfall. I even want to do Arena, a game that came out in 1994. I'm going to do more stuff for the Elder Scrolls because I just love this series. We may even see a return of Elder Kings, the Crusader Kings 3 mod that brings Tamriel into that game. There's going to be a lot more Elder Scrolls stuff on the channel, and I'm excited for it. So, as a little TLDR, I've had a lot of ups and downs in my life for the past 10 months, but I'm in a good place. I'm ready to come back to the channel, and I'm ready to start recording again for you all and really tell the stories that I love through games. Eric's story and the old fashioned is sadly complete due to the loss of the mod list, my own personal gripes with how the story was going, and a want to do better. Eric will be returning in a new fashion due to the LoreRim mod list in about mid-January, but most likely sometime in February, as I am working on revamping his backstory, making it more coherent so that way I can tell a better story and to get used to the LoreRim mod list. Expect some streams every other week, and expect my video uploads to be either once a month or twice a month due to the nature of wanting to spend time with my wife on the weekends that she is off. And expect a lot more Elder Scrolls content coming for the channel, but it's good to be back. I'm looking forward to this next year, both to continue growth for myself and for this channel, and to keep telling stories of the games that I love. With all that said, I've been Type 1 Dragon. You have all been awesome. And I wish Eric was here to say his piece, but he'll be back soon. Again, you have all been awesome. And until next time, Drim, your look. Stay safe out there.